Did you find her?
I'm sorry, Uncle. She's gone.
You were right about the flowers and everything. I can't believe she's gone.
I was too late.
So you're to blame. If you'd been quicker or stronger, you could have... She could be... Why her? Why Leandra?
He's not saying anything that Hawke's not already thinking. Except for one thing. It's time to get the hell out of this city.
You will tell me about the Qunari.
Well, there was that business with the mage. But the champion stopped that from turning into a bigger mess than it already was.
And yet we had Orlesians threatening sanctions of every kind and measure. What happened at Chateau Hain?
Oh good, so I am getting a vacation. And apparently piss off the Orlesians while I do it. Well, I shouldn't be surprised. You might say where I go, trouble follows, but that's inaccurate. It's more like where I go, trouble has already run off ahead and is waiting, polishing its sword while saying, "What took you so long?" It all starts with an arranged meeting over one of those treasures we pulled out of the deep roads.
Edge is usually very reliable.
Reliable at leading us into an ambush, you mean?
Why? It's not always an ambush. All right. Maybe sometimes it's an ambush.
And there she is. Today you die, pretty one.
Pretty one? I didn't think you were Varric's type. Hey, cool. Looks like Kirkwall has its own huntress now. I, for one, offer no objection if some other superhero comes into town and wants to fix all the problems. Leaves more time for me to not be stabbed. After our new friend Talus helps us kill these guys, she reveals that they are crows, the Order of Assassins, sent apparently in a matter related to my upcoming vacation, which will occur thanks to an invitation from the such-and-so of Who Gives a Shit.
That would be Duke Prosper de Montfort, member of the Orlesian aristocracy and a man who hosts a fine salon. Or so I hear.
Let me guess, this isn't just a social call?
I need to relieve him of something he has no right to possess. And I can't do it alone.
You want us to be thieves?
Hey, now, there's a very fine line between being a thief and being a procurer. The big difference being whether or not it's my stuff being taken.
So tell me, what exactly is it you want to steal?
A jewel. The Duke thinks it's valuable, and it is. Just not in the way he believes. What's more, he shouldn't have it in the first place. He who wishes to walk on water must first learn to swim.
That's kind of weird. Usually I just say something like, pretty, and then grab something. I don't feel the need to spout something like, love is the cheese filling that makes life rich but messy.
Don't forget to loot the bodies.
I was expecting that more from the pirate captain than from the cop. We're not thieves. We just root through the pockets of dead people. Well, the search of the assassins reveals that Cavril is the name of the family that attacked us. Seems they tortured the information out of Varric's associate. So I think it's safe to say they're very bad people. So we're going to Orlais with Talus. I'll need to bring 2 people along with me. It's not as if I can bring everybody, and I can't easily swap people out, so it's going to be a difficult choice. Well, Aveline mentioned last time that her father was formerly a bigwig over there, so she might have some insights to offer. As for the other, Isabella's a good choice because she gets around. I don't mean like that. I mean that she's a ship captain. I mean she's probably been to Orlais and might be of help too. Anyway, we're here to look for a jewel called the Heart of the Many. And I'm hoping from that name that it does not involve giant invisible spiders or a rogue AI playing techno music at me.
Andrastes, dear Prosper, when is this going to get started?
Presently. All right, everyone? You'll know the tradition, yes?
Then let's go invade Mesoamerica! We arrive soon after the hunt has officially begun for the wyvern, dragon-like beasts valued for their poison, and the sport of killing them because they're so deadly. Knowing there are legions, this probably involves throwing peasants at the wyvern until the monsters are too full to eat anybody else. We meet Monty himself after we get past his bodyguard and exchange pleasantries, but before we get to the fun stuff of the party, or the heist for that matter, somebody has got to kill a wyvern. None of this is my idea of a good time. Stealth followed by the rush of stealing something is much more fun than stealth followed by trying to kill a poison monster. But you gotta do what you gotta do.
Do we need a lure? What do wyverns like?
If we're lucky, slutty pirates.
Or prudish man-virgins, maybe?
On second thought, maybe this was a pairing I should have avoided. The last thing I want when I'm leaping on this monster with 2 daggers is to turn around and see these two pulling each other's hair.
Would you tell your uncle to leave me alone? He's often inappropriate. You find something inappropriate. Extremely so.
Fair enough. Just because one is sexually outgoing doesn't mean that they're asking to be harassed by every horny person around. At the same time, though, Isabella, I hope you remember that what goes around comes around. If you say inappropriate things to others, you're really not in a position to complain when you're on the receiving end of it. Now, having addressed this incredibly important topic, how about perhaps we focus on fighting this dragon, instead of worrying about somebody 100 miles away?
Do dragons and wyverns even mix? I don't think so.
So if we drop part of this in the right spot, we might lure a wyvern out to protect its territory.
So with that, and some wyvern blood that we find, I guess they fight each other for dominance sometimes, well, we've got a pretty good collection of things for a lure. But we're interrupted by the arrival of another hunter.
I've been calling and calling, but it is no use. Nicodemus should know better. But Sylvain never had an ounce of sense in his head.
Just so you're aware, I have no idea what you're talking about. But feel free to keep rambling.
Apparently, hiding behind his thick accent is concern that his hunting dogs have gone missing. And yeah, this is what it's come down to. People want me to look for their damn pets. I've become the Ace Ventura of this place. And incidentally, we saw another guy dressed exactly like this one earlier. You know, same heraldry symbols and everything. And yet, he had no accent at all. It might have been because he was giving out vital quest information that couldn't be missed. But it could also have been his closing line. If you're using a French accent to tell a woman, "May the maker smile on your aunt," there's a fair chance that she'll slap you.
There is something in there. A nest, perhaps.
Huh? What the hell are goblins doing here? You guys are in the wrong fantasy universe. We have Darkspawn to deal with, not you. Go off to somebody else's game, right now, or I'll call a cop.
Oh, blessed Andraste, thank you. I thought I'd die out here. I've been trapped here since last night.
Alright, I'll be the one to bite. Did you take your clothes off, or did the goblins do it? Do you want to show me on the doll where they touched you?
I'm a scholar from Cumberland, researching an Avar cult that once lived here. They worship the Lady of the Skies to the exclusion of all other gods. I'm searching for their shrine.
Okay, well, just a suggestion. I don't know what you normally do in your library, but when you're searching for ruins, you might want to think about wearing some pants. I'm admittedly a layman, but I'm fairly certain that when Schliemann found the city of Troy, he didn't say, "Hey everyone, look what I found!" Well, his junk was flapping in the wind like a windsock. Anyway, after a lot of casting about, we find the treasure he was seeking, rescue the dogs, and most importantly, lure out the wyvern.
Well, here I go. Just be ready.
I'd laugh, but I've done enough escort missions to have this be old hat.
There it is. And it looks mad.
Mad like angry or mad like crazy? Or both? No, what? Probably doesn't matter. You're a warrior. Why don't you distract it while we stab it to death? Sorry, Aveline. Defense may win the game, but offense gets the glory.
If it isn't the Ferelden turnip.
Ah, the old rivalry between Ferelden and Orlais, which I'll get into right now because I haven't a whole lot to say about this story, and I don't want you to think I'm half-assing these videos. So, obviously the relationship between Ferelden and Orlais is based upon the invasion of England in 1066 in the real world by William the Conqueror in the name of France, which led to the subjugation of the English in much the same way as the Fereldans were subjugated. The conquest was so significant that our language still shows the effects of that. The locals all spoke Old English. The conquerors spoke Old French. But the locals were an amalgamation of the local Celtic tribes and the Germanic tribes that settled on the island, the Angles and the Saxons. So naturally, Old English was much closer to the Germanic tongues linguistically than to the Latin ones of modern English. So look at the linguistic consequence of this infusion of Old French and Old English into what eventually became modern English. The German word for house is house, but the French word is maison, or you might recognize the old French root of that word, mansion, or mansion. The lowly English get the former, and their French overlords get the latter. Even take a look at our vulgarities. I mean, the very word vulgar, after all, is from Latin for from the crowd. Those filthy, unwashed peasants need to know their place, remember. But look at our vulgarities. Which sounds more like English? Like, say, the word shit. The German Scheisse, or the French merde, or the English word hell, the German Hölle, or the French enfer. The French words within English refer to the elite. The more Germanic it is, the more crass it seems, because the former were those who lorded over the latter. Hence, why a French accent, the European one, not Quebec, can so easily, in English, carry a sense of supreme arrogance. 1,000 years of reinforcing the point can make even the most innocuous or justified complaint sound like the person is a flaming douchebag just because of the accent it's in. I mean, which sounds worse? Someone leaning across the table and saying, "This is awful. This is the worst restaurant I've ever been in." And someone doing the exact same thing saying, "This is awful. This is the worst restaurant I've ever been in." I mean, I don't claim to be an expert on doing foreign accents, but you get the point. But this guy, of course, then takes that to a whole new height by using that accent to continue his view of Fereldans as jumped-up peasantry unworthy to lay eyes on their Orlesian betters.
I don't know how you came to rub shoulders with your betters, but enough is quite enough. I suggest you run along with your servants while you have the chance. This wyvern was mine to kill, not yours. Mine! 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 I paid good coin to be the one who wins this contest. It was my turn!
20 seconds with this guy, and you entirely see where Loghain was coming from.
I can't take no more of this. Kill them all! We can't say the wyvern was too much for them.
I'm betting by this point at least 50% of you, unprompted, has said aloud something from Monty Python and the Holy Grail. Admit it, you did. Well, Monty swings by just as we best all of this guy's men. But this still hasn't taught him when to shut the enfer up. He's paid enough people off that he believes he's entitled to kill my wyvern.
This is your fault for inviting a stinking turnip in the first place. Your mother would be ashamed.
Says the man whose mother has slept with half of Valchevin.
I have no idea what that means, but I can smell the burn from here.
My apologies. Arlange has always been a cheat. What would you have done with him?
You're not suggesting...
Why not? You believe Arlange would have stopped short of murder, given the chance?
I know exactly the punishment I want for him. Lock him in a room with nothing to eat but turnips. 2 weeks ought to be good.
There will be a celebration in the chateau courtyard. Do attend when you're ready.
Sounds great to me. I'm starved, which is unusual. Normally killing things doesn't work up my appetite. Which is lucky, because if it did, I'd weigh about 800 pounds by now. We're going to need to split up the party, though. The four of us moving together is going to attract some attention. I think I'll stick Isabella with Aveline. We can't have our pirate go running off, and Aveline's the only one capable of scaring Isabella back into line. She hides it well, but I'm pretty sure she's scared enough of her anyway.
So you say a witch helped you get to Kirkwall?
Flemeth, the Witch of the Wilds.
Oh, her. I see her at the Hanged Man sometimes.
Hey, barkeep, I bet you 5 gold coins I could turn into a dragon. I'm the Witch of the Wilds.
Ah, at last our mighty heroine.
Mighty Herring? Now I wish that I was playing with the subtitles on. Was that what he was trying to say? Because I fail to see the honor in the comparison. I mean, unless you're a krill, herring aren't particularly noteworthy. He takes the opportunity to introduce us to Leopold, his personal pet wyvern, and then gets on with the party. But we've got more important things to worry about than being compared to fish. The lock to get into this house, it's unpickable. We need to get the key from a member of the staff somehow. So I guess that means we'll be doing a bit of mingling. Greasing the wheels there is Lady Elegant, our friend from Kirkwall who makes potions, and she gives us the dirt on everybody. Like Dulcie here, with her daughters. She's the one on the right. The one who makes a Barbie doll look like Daria. Yeah, her. There's also Ban Tegan and Connor's mom from the original game, and Seneschal Braun with his date, Serendipity, a sex worker at the Kirkwall brothel.
Seneschal, dear, introduce me to your delicious friend.
Serendipity, this is Sarah Hawke.
Awkward.
I'm just still trying to wrap my mind around the fact that Seneschal Braun brought a sex worker to a high society function. It's just, he's so uptight. I can't picture it. You could crack open a macadamia nut just by sticking it up his ass and slamming his cheeks together. Though it wouldn't surprise me if Serendipity provided that service. But this is her Julia Roberts Pretty Woman moment. I don't want to get in the way of that. And besides, there's other people we have to meet around here to try to figure out a way to get that key.
Tallis?
Leliana, it's so lovely to see you again.
There you go, acting all awkward again. Did you bone some of these people? Is that why you're being so awkward here? We're trying to be undercover.
Well, I'm glad you two had this chance to chat.
Yes, it was very fortuitous. We shouldn't take up more of your time, Leliana. I'm sure you have things that need attention.
You've been hit by a smooth criminal.
Well, that's a bust. I don't mean Dulcie. I mean the fact we haven't been able to find a key. So we're going to try getting it off of one of the guards here. I'm going to pretend that Tallis is drunk. Just hope she's not the kind of person who will overact. Okay, I admit it. I just failed my intelligence roll, didn't I? Worse than that is this guy doesn't even have the key. He gave it to a servant girl, so now we got to figure out which is the one that's got the key. We finally track the servant down, only she no longer has the key either. She passed it on to Lord Cyril, Monty's son. So we'll have to go find him now and hope that he will turn it over.
Where are your knickers this time, Perrin?
Shut up, you painted shrew!
At least we know there will be some distractions to cover our tracks. Tallis convinces Cyril to head somewhere private together, but this time the plan falls apart because he has the key, but he's not being seduced by her charms.
He has the key. Go get it. What? It's your turn, Hawk. Go on.
My turn? Why don't you take a long fuck off a short pier? I already said I don't do dick work.
Just go try something. So good luck with that.
You are the worst partner I've had since Wesley. Much as I like to just walk over, punch him in the face, and take the key off his unconscious body, I try the more subtle approach. He's just offended at what she had done and wants a glass of wine as recompense. Well, little does he know that she happens to have a sedative on her. At least she thought to be prepared in case her plans went to crap. So I slip him a roofie, he falls down, and I take the key off his unconscious body anyway. At least I didn't bloody my knuckles in the process.
What in the name?
There's no need for you to die today, friend. Just move on. You never saw us.
All right, option B it is then.
I didn't want to kill him.
I've seen you kill several men.
There are other paths. They do not all need to lead to the same destination.
Yeah, but it is frequently inevitable when your GPS is a knife. She says she wants to do this whole thing stealthily if possible, and I am in complete agreement. It would be nice just for once to be able to sneak someplace as opposed to going through like a fucking marching band. So we sneak through the place like the experts that we are, and we defeat a puzzle lock. Classic mistake. If you have to solve the puzzle yourself, well, you're a putz because you're moving stone pillars around by yourself. What's the point of being rich if you've got to move furniture? And if you have your minions do it for you then, well, now your minions know the solution, so it defeats the purpose of a puzzle lock in the first place. Especially because puzzles can be figured out. Master villains really need to realize a security consultant is a worthwhile investment. They really pay for themselves. They tell you how to lock things up and ensure you're the only one that can get in there, and not with some trick of putting a diamond in the anus of some hippo or something. And the best part is that when you're done with the security consultant, you shove them into the room that's being secured. If they die, then the secret dies with them. If they don't die, then tell them that you wanted them to see firsthand the vulnerability so they'll do a better job next time. I'd make a great master villain. The only reason I'm not is I don't want to go to war with the Coterie, and I know in the end, Aveline wouldn't put up with it.
Don't fret, my dear.
I see the party's moved indoors.
It's not over yet.
But it is over. I knew who you were the moment you arrived. Assassin.
Assassin?
Well, I'm not surprised. The DLC's called Mark of the Assassin. I figured that there was some kind of truth in marketing there.
Have you also deduced that your elven friend is Qunari?
I'll admit, I did not see that one coming. I mean, she's just such a free spirit, and the Qunari are... well, they're more uptight than Seneschal Braun is, and as we've established, he's pretty uptight. I mean, it's like finding out Hugh Hefner was gay the whole time. It's just hard to wrap my head around. As Monty locks us up in his dungeon, I make very clear to Talus the level of my displeasure with this plan, and the withholding of key facts about the job. So she better give me a good answer, or I'm grabbing those ears and making a wish.
The one I expected to find is named Salit, a member of the Ben Hasrath, the Heart of the Many. I was told he's here to sell secrets to the Orlesians, and I came to stop him. I suppose I was misinformed.
You are a very shit assassin, you know that? Your plans fail, your technique is flawed, you feel guilty about killing people, kind of a problem in your line of work, and you have the research skills of a D student who doesn't bother removing the external links when they copy a Wikipedia page into Word. She explains, well, attempts to justify, her role within the Qunari, why she needs to do this, how important it is, and also how I'm getting completely screwed over in this arrangement. Had she done said research, she would realize cheating me is a quick way to a quicker death. So I better get some kind of treasure out of this, or I'm going to find out how much alchemists pay for elven teeth. I just hope the rescue party gets here soon.
If you'd let me handle that last guard, we'd have found Hawk by now.
Right. You'd be bent over a desk and we'd be no closer than we are now.
Well, I'd be closer to something.
Shut up, whore.
Okay, so pairing them up wasn't one of my better decisions. Then again, I'm locked in a dungeon with an elven assassin who's having a crisis of faith, and I'm not even getting paid for this job. So this is really just the latest of many cases of me having terrible judgment. You know, as I look at these stone walls, basically I realize that ever since leaving Lothering, it's been one long case of me stumbling into chaos. My success is only down to two things: my incredible skill that somehow allows me to survive it, and that sometimes when I trip, I find myself landing face first on a gold ingot. Anyway, now that she's opened the door and the others have arrived, we can finally get out of here, assuming we can get past all of the weirdness.
Yo! Ho!
What did you call me? Who said that?
Captain! Captain Isabella, sir! Over here!
That statue is talking to me.
Well, don't encourage it then.
We captured a sloop out of Antiva City, the Majestic. Mostly, she was carrying silks to Orlais. But in a strongbox, hidden in the silks, was the Dagger of the Four Winds.
The Dagger of the Four Winds? It's just a legend.
Maker's truth, Captain. It's as real as life.
I have to admit, in the wake of my recent introspection, seeing 3 stone morons makes me feel a lot better about myself. At least I have the common sense not to steal something that will curse whoever steals it. The only way to help them is to recover the jewels and return them to the dagger, but Isabella isn't so sure about this. Still, we'll at least give it a go. There's a chance we'll find some actual treasure in the process and make up for this clusterfuck. Well, there is indeed a treasure, but it's locked behind a big old fire trap, which is in turn controlled by a bunch more puzzle locks. This is really involved. It's got to take Monty an hour of running around just to show off that he's got some special doodad. Who wants to wait around that long as he's going jogging from room to room just so he can show them his latest toy? Just 2 more ink stamps, and then I can rearrange the tiles into an image of my face, and then after that, look, I will just take your word that it is a pretty bauble, okay? Okay, well, I guess there's no puzzle bits inside this room. We'll just be leaving you alone now.
Alas, it's too soon for my guests to leave. You will miss the main event.
I could live with that.
No, I am afraid you couldn't.
No, actually, I think it is my best chance to live. He leaves us locked in here with his little army, including his bodyguard, who is none too pleased with that fact. So instead of fighting us, he goes running off for the pets, whatever those are. I'm assuming that those are some kind of monsters or something. That's usually what they like to call them. What are you supposed to be? You look like a half-assed cosplayer. Well, the bodyguard never comes back, so we just make quick work of the soldiers, and then go poking about trying to figure out how to solve the rest of these logic puzzles.
What the?
Step in something.
This record. The sketch is rough, but it's my family crest. Not Valen. Dulac, my father's house.
Makes sense. Theta seems to be a lot more equal opportunity as far as things go, so logically, the changing of the name isn't necessarily the woman to the man's. It can be whatever house is stronger is the name that's chosen. Of course, I am just talking out of my ass here, so who knows how it really works. Just saying, it would be logical given what we've seen.
Is this related?
That's the thing, it can't be. This report, it's old, but the date is still years after Father and I went to Ferelden. No one carried his crest after he was exiled. That's all it says. I want another look at those cells. Maybe there's, I don't know, something.
Well, we are being pursued, but even I'm not so selfish as to say, no, we won't search for your family's long-lost history, but we will search for treasure for me. So we'll just have to see what we can find. Ha-ha! There it is, and there is treasure. Yes. You know, Aveline, it suddenly occurred to me that we need to get out of here as quickly as possible, so... No, all right, we'll deal with your thing, too. Oh, and here's the daggers for those cursed pirates there, in case you want to deal with that, Isabella. Let's just be clear, though. After everything I've just been through, this treasure is not going anywhere except in my vault, okay? And there will not be any stupid Tower of Hanoi trying to protect it. Just a lot of armed people and a big dog.
There. A mark.
In a jail cell. Well, don't that just beat all, huh? Next, you'll tell me someone shit on the floor in here.
Well, what is it?
It's a bottle of smoke. A small, black vial.
Oh, crackers.
Yeah, put that down very carefully, because that usually means that it's some kind of magic. So I find treasure, Isabella finds treasure, And Aveline, you find a fucking zombie wizard. No wonder there's so much crime in Kirkwall.
Well, I hope we've all learned a valuable lesson about found glassware. Aveline?
Father never had such a ring. And the paper. It's some spell poetry gibberish. But on the back, death protect this missive. All marks killed. The grand game continues.
Yeah, but not for much longer. This was the last DLC for Dragon Age 2.
Orlais has a game. He wouldn't play it. I never cared to ask further.
Oh, must be talking about Mass Effect Andromeda.
Thanks for chasing it as far as you have. It's appreciated.
Yeah, no problem. What's a little zombie slaying between friends? Speaking of things living that shouldn't be, we should probably deal with those pirate statues about now.
Whatever we do now, I am not giving this knife to Paisley Pete. It's much too pretty.
Well, that's a hell of a reason to trap someone in stone for all eternity. I'd save you, but I don't want to lose my shiny thing.
I know it's pretty, Isabella, but it is a cursed relic.
It's not cursed for me. That just makes it an ancient relic. And so pretty.
I don't know, I've done some shady things in my time, but are you really, really sure you want to trap them in stone for all eternity? Are you?
Come on, Hawk. I want to admire my pretty new knife in daylight.
Man, that's cold. I just hope you never screw me over this badly. With the castle locked up, the only way out now is through the tunnels, past more of the not goblins, and to the bodyguard, who reveals that I was wrong. The pets aren't slathering beasts. They're mages who have been brainwashed, and this guy wants to test them in a fight against a worthy opponent. Unfortunately, that means me. Oh, it's a heavy burden being so awesome. What makes this fight more difficult than usual is a member of the party is broken off. A gate came crashing down with Talus on the other side of it, and she ran off.
You didn't think I was leaving, did you?
No, of course not, because you filled me with so much trust and confidence over the course of this mission.
I know you think I lied to you. Well, I did lie to you, but I'm hoping you can look past that.
In other words, you mean to not consider that you might be lying despite the fact that you've already lied to me, that you might be manipulating me just because you've already manipulated me, and to crown it off by saying it in a way intended to manipulate me. Because the unspoken implication is to think that she's lying is a petty refusal to rise above such things, rather than an example of learning from one's experiences not to trust someone who is untrustworthy. If you need my help this badly, then I don't need manipulation. What I need is an apology. A groveling one, preferably on your knees. And then I'll think that you're either really sincere, or at least are willing to swallow your pride in the name of this cause. Because my sole cause is the sacks of loot I already have. Taking on someone else's quest is going to require more of a sales pitch than that. She attempts to justify herself, which highlights one of the ongoing issues with many of BioWare's games. You are rarely allowed to have the last word. This is why, if the player is given the option to kill a character that has been a thorn in your side, this is frequently the options that players will take. A character betrays you, you catch up with them, and they defiantly insist that they have nothing to apologize for. You can't throw their hypocrisy in their face, point out how they endangered those they claim to love with a reckless and foolish act, or show that they just want to play hero rather than actually being one. No, your choices will wind up being either spare them or kill them, and kill them is the only way to wipe the smug smile off their face, so people choose it. Now that's not to say that I feel out-of-game hostility towards Talus, because I don't. But this is a good example of what I mean here, though. She's doing a lot of explaining about what she does and why she does it, and it highlights this same kind of problem. The hero's last word on the topic may dictate things in the game, but they almost never get that last word. The other person always gets to say something afterwards, and you can't respond to it. What this rogue hornhead is going to do is going to endanger Qunari and human civilizations as well. Though again, it's hard to trust a known liar. Her view is that the Qun is a form of caring that brings peace, and that while their society isn't always perfect, well, human society could still learn a lot from it. I don't agree with that. I understand the arguments, but I don't accept the price tag that comes along with it. The claim is that it permits one to adhere to their nature, and yet in practice, it's to refuse a person what they believe is their nature and dictate their nature to them. Peace through the trampling of the individual, to say the only choice is to be what is assigned or leave society entirely, doesn't sit right with me. I believe that, so long as they're not hurting anyone else, people have the right to be who they are and not become what they are told. Whether it's what you do, who you love, how you define yourself, what clothes you wear, what tattoo you want to get, what music you love. If society can only exist by destroying the spirit of the individual, then what good is it in the end? It may allow people to survive, but it won't let them live.
After everything you've already done, why would I help you again?
Because I've got your nose.
Why are all my companions lunatics or idiots? Well, I suppose we'll help out, but only because things are getting tense with the Qunari back home. If this has a chance of stopping the Arishok from flipping out and burning Kirkwall to the ground, then we've got to take it. And a word of warning, I'm a master thief. If I say I've got your nose, I've actually snatched it.
When the time comes, I hope the Qunari remember the part I played here.
Do I even want to know? No, I probably don't. We fight our way through an army of Qunari, only to find out from the last guy that the one we're looking for is actually back down the mountain and about to meet with Monty. So we've been going the wrong way. Nice. I'm glad we trusted you. We arrive to find that Monty is acting on behalf of the Empress of Orlais. He wants a weapon. So the big guy gives it to him. A scroll with a list of names. What Monty doesn't know is that it's a list of Qunari agents around Thedas, exposing them and allowing their families to be compromised. So, it's a weapon. But Monty wanted something a bit more literal. Like, say, this.
If anyone is to do any slaying, it will be me.
I guess they're not big on leash laws in Orlais. So we're now in a big-ass fight with the Orlesian guards, the Qunari, and Monty riding his pet wyvern. It's a bigger problem than we normally face. Nope, sorry. In this line of work, there are no problems, there are only challenges. The thing about being a rogue is, we don't fight like warriors fight. We fight like someone who does not want to die, which is about knowing when to strike, knowing when to duck, and knowing when to run away. We don't fight fair in the normal sense, but that's only because fair is actually very unfair to us. I mean, here we are in our leather armor with our short little daggers or our bows, fighting against a steroid user carrying half their body weight in solid armor and wielding a weapon that can shear through a cow in one swing. So when we fight them, we know the best thing to do. It's not to go running at them headlong and trying to outmuscle them. It's to make that big lumbering oaf use their own unstoppable mass against them. Like that one, Monty? I call that the Orlais Olay.
Thank you for the lovely party. I'll treasure the belt.
Well, I don't think you'll survive that.
Never build your fortress on a mountainside unless you're sure-footed enough to never fall off it. Just like you would never build your catwalk between your bedroom and your office going right over your own personal shark tank. You are just asking for irony to smack you. So, with the scroll recovered, everything is sorted out for Talus, and the others wonder if she might be joining us back in Kirkwall.
Let's see. Are you possessed, consorting with demons, a pathological liar?
I am none of those things.
Can you run 5 miles carrying a cow over your head?
That's better.
I'd laugh, but I'm fairly certain that cow is her lunch pail. Talus isn't coming with us, but she finally has the treasure that she promised me. The other stuff is just a bonus.
That was going to be the heart of the many. You'd find a jewel, while I'd go off and find Salit, and be back before anyone was the wiser. I suppose nothing ever goes like we plan, does it?
Well, that's because you're an assassin and not a thief. If you were a thief, you know exactly how plans work.
Only 4 rules you need to remember. Make the plan, execute the plan, expect the plan to go off the rails, throw away the plan.
Mark of the Assassin is really just a vehicle for the player to roleplay opposite Felicia Day, who is slightly tweaked to look like an elf in this game. In keeping with that, though, the emphasis of the story is primarily to make it a more comedic outing. Your introduction to things might make it seem like this assassination attempt is part of the Duke Prospero de Montfort's plans, but it turns out the guy responsible, in my case at least, is the same one that I told to pay back my old crime boss at the start of the game. I had assassins sicked on me by someone so irrelevant that even when I knew who he was, I still didn't know who he was. But this DLC is especially geared towards rogues, from the infiltration missions to the fact that this is essentially played as a heist. Others can use it too, but it's just a very rogue thing to go on a huge journey just so you can steal some jewel. The only justification that Talos can even offer for it is, that's just what you do, isn't it? For a rogue, yeah. For a mage or a warrior, once you've got wealth, why go to this much trouble just to get one valuable gem? Again, that's why I assumed the assassination attempt was connected somehow. It seemed Hawk saving themselves from assassins was the real point, and the jewel was just the cherry on top. Instead it was, come on, here's an adventure, and you've already paid for it, so do it. This of course means that, as I mentioned 2 parts ago, Hawk is just along for the ride. This might be a fun ride, but once again, the primary focus is not on Hawk, but on someone else, Talos in this case. Which wouldn't be so bad, except unlike Sebastian, she doesn't stick around, which makes her unique skill tree a waste. The only thing you get game-wise is a unique item that you will eventually outlevel, so there is no lasting gameplay change and no narrative impact, beyond a couple of clues about your companions, assuming you even brought the right companions along for this. Yeah, Talos is primary, secondary are your companions, and Hawk is just there to listen. That is actually a huge part of what she's dealing with in Act 2 here. Oh, the trouble those followers of mine are getting up to.